Okay, good morning, everyone. I was told that Saturday is the best time for you to present something because people will be relaxed, it will be very informal, and your stress will not be there. So, and I think that's happening. Okay, so I got a presentation today to talk about, and I think it is a very new topic that has not been discussed before, especially in construction law conferences. And the reason why I'm here today is to share the experience of project managers who are dealing with construction projects, big projects, and how can that experience be transferred to law firms. So I started my career in Dubai, and in Dubai, you know, the life is very intense there. So you just work, and I started as a civil engineer, then I was promoted to be a project manager. I handled big projects, so these are the types of projects that I have been handling. The one on the left is the fifth tallest residential building in the world. It is 335 meter high. And what I was thinking about when I came to Australia is that if we are able to manage projects like this, why we are not able to manage legal matters? Because legal matters are actually projects. And the argument that many lawyers were always talking about is that legal matters are different. We are not able to provide fixed price arrangement because of the uncertainty associated with that. So I will try to challenge this today, and we'll see whether or not we can get some benefits from project management as a discipline, and whether or not it can be easily adopted in the law firms. So, to start with, this session is interactive, so you will be able to connect to these slides. So let us do it together. So if you just follow the instructions that you will see on the screen, grab your phone and go to menti.com, and then get the code 6977. So once you are done with that, you will be able to see some questions appearing in your device. So the first question is, what's your main background? So I'll just try to see, you know, the nature of audience we have today, so I can tailor the presentation accordingly. So now we have 5, 8. So how many people do we have? Like 4, 8, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17. So expect 17, 20 answers. You know, Matthew, we want to see the engineering and construction, you know, taking more part in our in our conferences. Yeah, so that is actually well expected. But those who said yet to decide, is it like because you don't have an option here, or because it is an overwhelming experience to choose from, you know, construction and like construction management or construction law? So that's the question. Okay, so next question. So how familiar are you with the legal project management as a discipline? Have you heard of it? Do you know about it? If you want to practice it, are you able to practice it? Cool. So now I'll just remind you of the question that whether legal project management is intuitive or something else. This was the main question that we are trying to answer today. So let us see whether we will be able to answer the question now or not. So you got another question here. So this question will just test your understanding of what you should do as a legal professional. So if you have a legal matter, what is the first thing you will be doing? Is it, I have some, so is it develop a strategy, identify project client objectives, create tasks, or understand scope? Which one? And you will see that those who were saying that it's poor, you will see that, you know, segmented. A couple more. Okay, so let us see the right answer. And okay, so it's understanding the scope. client objectives will come at a bit later stage after you understand what's going on, what's the problem that we are talking about. So, and you see that, those who are even saying that, we have a poor understanding, but it is an intuitive thing that you may get it right. But unless you have a methodology in a place, you have some processes, some tools and techniques that you can use, which are called assets of the corporate, you will always, get that dilemma whether or not you will get it right from the first time. And this is what project management is going to do for you. It is just facilitating the work that you do. So let us just see another way of, looking into legal project management. Try to look at the 3 most important things that need to be improved in law firms, in terms of your services. What should be improved? If you are looking at that from a client's perspective, what is needed to be improved? What are they looking for, the clients? Just you have 3 words or 3 phrases to add, smaller phrases, and you will see that a word cloud will start to appear and get a shape here. Just think of the clients that you are providing the service for. What do you think the clients are looking for? You're not? Oh? Sorry.
What's the code, Samer?
Okay, so the code again is 6977. Good memory, Alicia. Now, the reason why I'm putting this question, because I will link that question with another survey that was done in the US last year. And that survey is being done on an annual basis where in-house counsel are asked some questions about what their expectations regarding what the client is looking for in terms of their, in terms of what they are looking for in terms of the services provided by the law firm that they are appointing for their businesses. So we'll see whether or not the answers here can be matched to that survey. So we talk about communication, efficiency, and when it comes to efficiency, we need to define what is efficiency in the first place. Certainty. Cost certainty. So let us just look at the value, cost certainty, and communication, and see whether or not those have been reported in that survey. So in the US, legal project management is taking shape, and they are very mature industry there. So in Australia, you'll see now in a minute how we are still, falling behind. We are not able even to compete with the US industry. So let us have a look now. Just try to memorize this. This is a survey that was done last year. So this is a survey that is attracting so many responses. So 280 in-house counsel, the leading counsel from each corporate was responding to these questions. And the question was to rate up to 3 most likely service improvement areas that they want to see from the service providers who are the law firms. And the first one was greater cost reduction. It's about cost. The second one is about improving budget forecasting. The third one is pricing structure, mainly about pricing arrangement. And look at the fifth one, the efficient project management. So they were not ranking project management as a main thing that they are looking for. But the argument that I want to make here is that even the first 4 are project management things. So without project management, you cannot reduce cost. You cannot have certainty. And unless you have that mechanism in there, you will not be able to achieve any of these services. So what I can argue again is that the first 8 items that you are able to see in the screen are project management things. So it is all about project management. And that's why project management is taking shape now in law firms. Now, let us just start with some serious business. Ali Group, if you have ever heard of Ali Group, they are an active consultant in terms of providing legal project management services in Australia. And what they were saying that they have seen, that is like a testimony for them, they said that 25% of cost reduction was achieved in the firms where they have adopted legal project management methodologies. So that's a figure that they have put in their website. And the Australian College of Law has said that we are yet to see some changes because of the evolving environment of the legal landscape, and they want to see some fixed pricing arrangement. Clients are eager to see some change in the way how the legal firms are claiming their fees. So it's not an hourly rate thing. They are looking at the value now. They are looking at more certainty about the budget and about the costing that legal firms are able to provide. Without project management, that is something that would take ages to be achieved, and uncertainty will always be there. Before I came here, like 2 days ago, I looked up the LinkedIn, and I was looking up the title of legal project managers. And this is what I got. So in Australia, you got 54 legal project managers who are currently working on a full-time basis in law firms in Australia. And we are really falling behind because the US is a mature industry now. So the clients are driving the industry. And there is no reason not to believe that the situation in Australia should follow the model in the US, where they have much more mature legal industry. And in the UK, it's taking shape and it's catching up with the US. And elsewhere in the world, we have another 129 legal project managers, so less than 500. It is still too low number in terms of what we are able to achieve and what we are actually achieving. So it's not a big deal, actually, to be a legal project manager. You should have the law degree, but you need to understand some basics. And in the next 20 minutes or so, I will just try to show you some basics so you can catch the glimpse of what can be done and how can we move forward from what we learned today. So to start with, any project that we are trying to define is a temporary endeavor. Like, it is something unique and temporary, where it has start and has finish. And you are aiming to provide service, results, or product. So for legal firms, they are trying to provide service, right? So if we are able to apply that definition on legal matters, so every legal matter that we are dealing with is a project. And the moment that you define legal matters as projects, definitely everything will be applied accordingly in terms of project management methodologies, tools, and techniques that we are able to use. So when it comes to legal project management, it is the way how we apply project management in the planning and execution of legal matters. So that is simply the case how we are trying to look at it. Now, I'm not sure if you have seen this swing diagram before. This is a very famous cartoon that we use in project management to describe what's happening in the construction. So just quickly, suppose that we have a project, a swing project, where a client wants to construct. So he's inexperienced, he wants to get someone who knows better, and he appoints a project manager. They go into briefing stage, and this is the way how the project manager understands it. And then when it goes to the design stage, so it goes to the structural engineer who wants to play safe, and he gives you this design. And yesterday we were talking about iconic buildings and architecture, and all architects are looking for fancy design, very iconic thing, and they give you something like that to impress you. Then when it goes to builder, he wants to price for it, and he wants to get the job. So he tells you, I'll give you the best thing in the world. And then this is the way how they price things. This is the way how they market it. And that's part of their tendering submission. And going down to the project itself, and you want to know what's happening with regard to the contract documentation, and I think all lawyers play a role here, nothing was documented. And that's something that we are, actually, I have been facing that for forever now. Like, I have handled many, many projects, and I was dealing with this dilemma on a daily basis. Now, the builder has a cost control department, and when I was acting as a project manager, the tender was 100 million, and they give me just 50 million to work with, and they want me to construct with that 50 million. And this is what you get. It's very dry budget that you get. And because of the problems that we face in that project, because of the poor coordination, you have been built as if that you are constructing a dreamland rather than a swing. And when it goes to construction workers, they don't have proper construction drawings to deal with, and they give you something like that. And if you go back to the client and you ask him at the end of the project what you really wanted, he wanted a wheel. And that wheel has been done here and has been done here. So we have another 2 wheels that have been done before. So these are iconic buildings. They have been there for decades now. And the Opera House yesterday, we mentioned a lot about how the cost and time has blown up in these projects. And Federation Square is another example of how swing cartoon can apply. And I'm teaching these two cases as case studies for students who are doing their construction management degrees. And what I'm always telling students that when you want to measure whether a project is successful, look at the perspective of each party. So success of the project is not the way how the client is looking at it. It is how everyone is looking at it. All stakeholders engage in the project. But what we are always talking about is that if the client is happy, the project is successful. And definitely, client was not happy in these two projects. He was not happy because he was the party paying. For that project, Multiplex was involved in Federation Square. And they have billed the client heaps of money, 600 millions, were the actual cost of that project at the end. And they were paid, they were reimbursed. But who was paying? The taxpayers. And it is no different when it comes to legal matters when you charge your client heaps of money. And if you like numbers, you will see that against every 1 billion spent on infrastructure, there is 108 million losses in infrastructure projects in Australia. And that's a disaster, actually. Like, you know, yes, we have project managers, but they are still unable to provide effective and efficient services to their projects so they can maintain the budget and the cost control. So what are the challenges that have been faced by law firms so far? I think you may be in agreement with me regarding what's happening. So usually we start with the lack of understanding of what the client really wants. Like the client comes to you, he walks in the door, he wants someone to help him with arbitration or litigation case, or sometimes it's a very small matters about security of payment. Unless you know what the problem is all about, unless you clearly identify the scope inclusions and exclusions, and you know what would make the client happy at the end, what would be the acceptable outcomes, what he's actually looking for, whether he wants to go for settlement, whether he wants to go to the high court, you know, because he has deep pockets. All of those questions should be raised in the first place where you meet the client and you understand what he's looking for. So senior partners are doing that intuitively. I have met many lawyers in the last 2 days, and until now, I couldn't see anyone who's doing that based on a process that he has as part of his assets. It is all intuitive. And one lawyer that I met yesterday, he said, look, it's my experience. Like, I need 10 years of experience in order for me to do it intuitively. But you may need just 1 year of experience if you have methodology available in a place and you're just being trained. If you are trained, you will be able to do that. And I'm going to show you a methodology that can be used today, if not tomorrow. So what the client is really looking for, the value for money. So we are providing legal services to clients who are looking for value for money. So unless we are able to look at the cost, we look at the scope, quality, time, parameters, we are not able to achieve that value for money. It is about effectiveness and efficiency. The efficiency is about the process that you do, and the effectiveness is about the desired outcome that's going to happen. So think always of the function that the client is looking for, what he's actually looking for. He wants to settle the case with the least cost possible and the least time required for settling the job. So this is the book that I have used to develop a methodology for legal project management. It is called Project Management Body of Knowledge, developed by Project Management Institute, which has been founded in 1950s. And the first edition of that book was issued in 1969. And nowadays, we have more than 200,000 people who are certified as project management professionals. And this book is actually the most reliable guideline to extract any methodology that you want. So whether it is construction, engineering, legal profession, any project that you want to apply the guidelines, you can use this book. So what is this book is talking about? It handles 10 areas of knowledge: stakeholders, cost, time, communication that was there in the word cloud. And you will see that all of these items have been covered in the survey of the US survey that I have showed you in the first slides. So these are the areas that has been there in the book, and the book is trying to show you some processes. And in any legal matter, in any project, you start with phases. You have initiation, then you have planning, and execution, then you close. So the initiation scope is the scoping itself. how you scope the project, how you understand what the client really wants. And if you just follow that particular arrangement, you end up with a methodology like that. This is a methodology that I have adopted from the PM book. So in a few terms, what we are looking for, during initiation stage where you are trying to draft your letter of engagement indeed, so what you are trying to do is to develop a charter, project charter. This is the first thing that you should do, which will set the objectives of what the client really wants, for example, and to understand the scope, the inclusions, exclusions, the assumptions, the constraints, the key deadlines that he's looking for, and his desirable outcome, what he's looking for, the acceptable outcome for that client, and something about the fee arrangement and what you can do about the services you provide. So that particular project charter is the main document that you start any project with. So you call it letter of engagement in the legal profession. And after you are done with that, you need to identify all stakeholders that would be involved in that project. Paralegal, people of discovery team that could be outsourced from other firms. You look at your team members, who's going to be involved, from the senior partners down to the senior or junior associate or solicitors. And then once you are done with that, you go to the planning stage where you start to collect requirements about the scope to define it in a more better and more micro level way. And then once you are done with that, you go for something called work breakdown structure. And here I want to pause a bit, because when it comes to work breakdown structure, this is your cornerstone. If you are able to provide a work breakdown structure for your legal matter, you are able to handle that project well. You are able to provide costing properly. You are able to provide time and duration for each task that you do. So what is it all about? You start with levels. The first level is your project name, whether it is arbitration, litigation case, whatsoever. And then you go down by decomposing that activities that you have. Whether you do that based on the deliverables, the things that you want to provide to the client at the end of the day, or you do that based on the phases. For example, you want to go for adjudication case, you start with payment schedule, adjudication response, then enforcement proceedings, then challenging by way of judicial review, for example. You can do either way. And the moment that you start to decompose activities and you reach to a stage where you are able to provide resources, to assign resources and estimated durations and costing, that is called work package. This is the least level available to you, where you can start loading that with costing and budget. And that is the document that we use to develop our schedule later on. So you will see that, for example, you sequence activities based on the work breakdown structure. You are able to define some activities, and those activities you sequence them, and you come up with a project schedule. To do the project schedule, you need to identify all risks associated. Yesterday, they were talking about accepting uncertainties. In project management, we don't accept uncertainties. What we do, we are trying to change uncertainties to risks. And then we are able to manage the risks because we are able to know the unknowns. And this is the role of project managers. So this is the formula that we use to estimate the durations and to estimate budgets. So because you know the risk now, you are able to know what is the most optimistic duration, what is the most optimistic budget for you, whether you are going to outsource or you are going to give discount, for example. And you use that formula to have a better, accurate estimate for the durations and for the budget of the client. And this is the risk register. I think all of you know about that. If you are going to do a risk register, you may have hundreds of items. And there is a rule called 80-20. So you focus on 20% of the items that are highly ranked in order for you to achieve 80% of efficiency. We call it Pareto rules. And the project schedule that you do is a place where you put everything together, except the cost estimation that could come later on. So you do everything except cost estimation and budget of that project, because you need everyone to be on the same page, because some items are being done in parallel. You get deadlines, you know the milestones where you have to achieve. And the moment you go for control and monitoring, you need to know whether you are on target or not. And what you need to do is just use a Gantt chart where you try to visualize that schedule. And for example, you have cutoff date here and you get a progress bar. So from that, you will know whether you are late or not. Are we late here with this project? This project is a delayed project because most of the activities have been delayed. The progress bar should be here, up to here. You can see. So you can visualize it from the first second, whether or not that project is working well for you. So to close the project, this is the most important thing once you are done with any legal matter. You need to collect the lessons learned. You need to have those lessons learned as assets to new legal matters that you may encounter later on. And that is part of your profit realization and how you can adopt a better legal project management in at the end. Then last slide, how to implement it. So it is a cultural thing. So we have a conflict of generations. You have people who are really mature in the legal firms. You have people who are really passionate about that. They are young enough to make the change, and that needs to be promoted. That discussion between the two groups should be promoted. You need to educate yourself, whether you go for a master's degree in project management or you go for training, if you feel that you can handle training in your way. So it's about your professional development. If you don't know how to provide legal project management services, you just go for a pilot study. Just have one legal matter, try to implement legal project management in that legal matter. And here you go. Okay, so quickly in 2 minutes, let us just try to wrap up, okay? It's a quiz that I want to ask you, 3 questions. And that quiz, you will see now in your mobile phone, if you go back to your mobile phone, so you will see some avatars. Pick one and choose your nickname. And the rule of that is that the faster and the most accurate answer will be the winner. So we'll see who has got the glimpse of this presentation. So just pick one quickly, and then let us see 3 questions that will just try to wrap up the discussion of this presentation. Okay, so how many? So 14, yeah. I haven't seen this at all. Okay, so first question. So you should be ready. So the fastest answer, the most accurate answer is the one where we have the winner. Okay, so the first question. What does the lowest level in work breakdown structure represent? So you got some choices. Activity, work package, resources, sub-deliverables. Okay. So, activity. Okay. So we got some few answers right. So who's leading the? So, Ronald? No? Yes? Yes? Ronald? Good? Okay. It's very easy actually to be on the top now, but when it comes to the second and third question, it will be much harder. So next question. What information is not needed to develop a project schedule? WBS, activity duration estimates, risk register, activity cost estimates. Okay, that's good. Wow, we're improving a lot. Who's the fastest? Okay. Someone will get up now. Oh, Carl, who's Carl? Carl? Okay, last question. Which process follows the creation of project WBS? After you are done with WBS, which process will follow? Estimate costs, estimate durations, identify stakeholders, create activity list. That is the last question. And then we'll see who's the winner. Ooh. Okay, so yep. We reached the work breakdown structure where we have the work package. After that, you need to define some activities before you move forward with the duration estimation. Okay, that's good. So I want to know the winner. So 1 second. We are done. Okay, so who's the winner? David? Yeah, congratulations. Please applause David, please. Thank you very much, David. I think now you can say that you are a legal project manager. You're fine. You're done with that. Okay, so if you have any question, if you have any comment about this presentation, I think we are running out of time. there is something that we usually do in conferences where because you are here, I think, to communicate, to network. So one thing that you can do, if you have LinkedIn app in your mobile now, and you want to know everyone here, you can just open your LinkedIn app, download it if it's not there, and then go to this people link, and from that you activate your Bluetooth, and you will be able to see everyone who has a LinkedIn profile, and then you add him or her into your communication list. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that this presentation has added some value to you. Thank you very much.